Hello, the Podsmashers of the internet, and welcome to another episode of
80-Bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer. We are your hosts,
Penguin
and Termite, and we are a weekly podcast about culture, video games, pop culture, and sometimes politics. We smash them all together. 80-Bit Podsmash.
That's what our name means. Woohoo!
Yeah.
What are we drinking today?
Tonight we are experimenting with the never-before-drank ever in the world, the most rare and exquisite beers coming from the lovely country of Mexico, known as Corona Extra.
Corona
and
Extra.
It's so rare, no one talks about this. We decided to do our own little tweak to the beer.
What did we do?
And we added a lime to it.
What, Corona with lime?
Yeah.
That's crazy. We should brew beer.
We should brew beer.
We should be brewers.
This delightful and refreshing beverage is great on a hot summer day. I went for a long run. It wasn't that long, but I ran in the heat and I got all sweaty. And I was outside grilling tonight.
You should do commercials.
No,
but we should, because then we can make money. So.
Oh, right, yeah. Sorry.
Listen to how good we are at commercials.
Yeah. Corona, hit us up. I think everybody who listens to this episode should tweet at Corona and tell them about this episode and tell them to sponsor us.
Yes.
So that we can give you guys discounts on Corona.
Oh, that would be awesome. Or, like Blue Apron or Lisa Mattresses. Anything. That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Revenue!
Yeah.
But enough about that. How was your day?
I kind of already talked about it. I got to grill out today. It was probably in the upper 80s-ish. It felt hot. It was in the sun. We have a new deck installed last fall, so we're finally starting to get to use it as the weather's gotten nice. So
Great.
We grilled these spicy sweet potato chunks that we use on tacos. I think you've had them before.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I grilled those up, and I threw some corn tortilla shells on the grill to kind of give them the grill marks, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It was money.
Great.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, it was just a day.
Just a day.
Just a day.
You worked?
This is Tuesday. I don't like Tuesdays.
I went to work yesterday. It was Monday, and I was like, there's no place I'd rather be right now. Happy Monday, everyone.
Wow.
That's not how I actually felt. I was being very sarcastic.
Gotcha.
It was hilarious to gauge everyone else's responses because they're like, happy Monday. There's nowhere else I'd rather be right now than work.
Wow. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's how I would have reacted. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would it be like if you came to do this on Monday morning? Every Monday morning, and every
awesome.
Tuesday morning, and Wednesday, and Thursday.
It would be
Friday.
awesome until it suddenly got not awesome. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm like, no, this is my job. This used to be what I love. Why is everything awful? Because I'm a human, and that seems to be how humans process.
Can you imagine what
things.
this podcast would look like if it was a full-blown job?
Oh, man.
This would only be one avenue of many pieces of content.
Pieces.
Yeah.
So it's up to you guys to make it happen.
Speaking of which, this is a good segue. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, on Reddit at 80-Bit Podsmash. No hyphens, no uppercases, no funny business, just 80-Bit Podsmash. We are at 80bitpodsmash.com, where you can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play. Please leave a review and a rating.
Your homework for the week is to shout out at us on a social media platform of your choice. So add us on Twitter or tag us on Facebook. Just say something about our podcast. And shout out to us.
Throw out some words of responses to our pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
That would be great. That would
Engage
help us
with
so
us. Tell
much.
us what you want to hear, what you like about us, what you hate about us, so we can be better for you.
Be better. Cool. Well, speaking of things that are better, I feel like my segues to this get more awkward every single time, but it's time for
Doing This Podcast is Our Favorite Thing. Yeah, Doing This Podcast is Our Favorite Thing. Boom. You like that?
Yeah.
Little beat drop at the end there?
Yeah, that was good.
Well,
Favorite Things, for those who are unfamiliar, is a segment that we do during our podcast where we just catch you up on the things that we are enjoying, the things that this week is our favorite thing. You got your favorite thing?
I've got them. I'm ready to go.
You looked me in the eyes if you got it, so
I did.
Fire away.
So Wegmans apparently now has watermelon flavored sparkling water, and it is better than LaCroix, anything that they've ever made. It is awesome. It's my favorite flavor of sparkling water ever.
Cool.
So that's my favorite thing.
Awesome.
Go pick up cases of 0 calories, all natural. I don't believe a word of it.
I like sparkling water. It's good. Saved my life.
What is natural flavor? What is it?
Well, they take something natural like a watermelon and they squeeze it in a machine that's very unnatural.
But then the ingredients list would actually list watermelon juice, and it doesn't. It's like citric acid or something.
I don't know. It's all a lie.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're killing ourselves with sparkly water, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I drink a little bit of it here and there. It's a good replacement to beer when you want something bubbly.
It's a good replacement to soda when you want something bubbly.
I haven't had a soda.
That's
in
fair.
years.
I used to drink
You
soda
did?
like every meal. Not every meal, but like especially with dinner.
So did you ever go the diet soda route?
Nope.
You never did the Coke Zeros?
I never believed the diet soda route was, you know what I mean? I always was distrusting of it, but I came to like always just want something bubbly with dinner. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't even so much the sugar, though. I do have a sweet tooth and I do love sugar.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just that. It was just the feeling of something bubbly just helped me feel like I was digesting my food, you know? And so switching to sparkling water, I think has probably saved my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't drink soda anymore, really, except rarely, like if we go out.
Yeah.
To fast food or something. And sometimes when I'm very weak in the office. But that's great because like our office, like I open up our office fridge and there's like it's like lined with sodas all the time, and I'm always just like, nope, grab a San Pellegrino or something instead.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, so bubbly water,
and that alone would make anyone lose weight.
Yeah,
just stopping sodas.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago though.
Yeah.
So
and I went down the diet train. Like I went down the Coke Zero and I was addicted to that. So I addicted quotes.
Sure.
I just wanted that all the time, and that's what I used for soda replacement. And then I just stopped. I was like, I'm done with the diet. Fake sugar, and I started drinking water and coffee, and that was it.
See, I just don't like regular water. Like, there's sometimes when I'm like really thirsty that I like regular water, but I just don't enjoy drinking water.
You're supposed to drink a gallon a day.
That's why sparkling water is helpful. Is because but they say drink a gallon a day, but like the science says that you get more water from food than you do from water.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Yeah, because unless you're eating like dehydrated space food, you're not actually your food has water in it, like tons of water in it. So
my wife, who's in the medical field, kind of, she's a lab tech, so she reads medical stuff all the time, said that the whole idea of having X amount of water per day per person is like silly. That you should just listen to if your body is thirsty.
Exactly.
Just
or
drink when you're thirsty.
That's the other thing too, is like every time I drink more water than I normally do, I feel like I have to pee all the time. Yeah, I do. I hate it.
Yeah, I pee like 10 times a day.
I hate that feeling. I hate the feeling of my bladder being tight. Like, and I have a good like listening with my body, because like when I pee, it's a healthy color, and that's all that matters. I think that's all that indicates that I'm not dehydrated.
If my pee's not clear, I drink more water.
It's
got to be completely clear. I don't want any color.
The key to pee is believing in me. Anyways,
what was that?
It's a quote from a internet video. It's great. We'll link off to it, I guess.
Well, now that we've spent 8 minutes talking about pee,
right? And I haven't even gotten to talk about my favorite thing.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is the same as several episodes ago when our wives were interviewing our wives back for the Valentine's Day episode. Your wife talked about her favorite thing being this fantasy series that we were both reading the first book of.
Oh yeah.
I'm now in book 3 and it's my favorite thing for the week. Holy crap, I can't put this book down. It's so good. It's amazing. It's awesome. Called the third book is called Oathbringer. The series is called Stormlight Archive. It's so good. It's amazing. You all should read it right now.
I'm reading the first one and it is awesome. I can't put it down. I've been reading the crap out of it this week.
You did put it down for a long time though.
I did, because video games.
Right, because video games. No, I understand. I completely understand. So, cool. We won't talk to death about it though. It's just an amazing series. Y'all just need to take our words for it. It's if you like reading, go read it. If you like listening to audiobooks, go get it on audiobook. If you don't like doing either of those things, get over yourself and get this book.
Wow. Okay. Is there going to be an HBO series about it?
Maybe. I don't know. It does have movie. I think someone's bought the movie or the film rights for it. So I hope that they don't butcher it. I heard someone online say that they should turn it into an anime, and I thought that idea was amazing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So, cool.
Cool.
That was favorite things, and now let's do DLC.
Downloadable content.
It is a other segment that we do where it's sort of a mini discussion, a sub-discussion, something that may or may not have anything to do with our main topic, but is just sort of something that we'd like to come up with and discuss and exercise our brain bits. So, our DLC for today was inspired by just today. They released, neither of us are huge Fortnite players. However, it's still a really important game.
It's taking the world by storm.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. And it's just an important game right now in this gaming culture. So, we still kind of pay attention to it when they do interesting things. And really interestingly enough, they just released an Infinity mode that was inspired by Infinity War, the Marvel movie. And in this mode, you get to basically, like, you can pick up the gauntlet and you get turned into Thanos, and you can start beating people up as Thanos. And people, it's just interesting. It's a cool way to kind of cross over two universes. So with that in mind, we thought it would be really interesting to talk about, we'll specifically use the Marvel universe, but this is a discussion that could be done with really any intellectual property. But with the Marvel universe, we wanted to know, discuss what video game crossovers would be awesome with the Marvel universe. So anything from the Marvel universe, if you wanted to see a crossover with another video game, what would that be and what would it look like?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, hit me.
Marvel Warriors. So Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, like...
Yeah!
All the Marvel characters you can think of, just wrecking house of enemies, assaulting bases, and hitting the kings come out, waypoints, whatever you want to call them. If you guys have played any of the Warriors games, starting with Samurai Warriors, it's that. It's just like onslaught of, you just destroy enemies in droves.
Yeah, somewhat strategic though, because you have to be at certain points at certain times, kill things quickly. Like it's not just your brainless hack and slash game.
You have a map, and across the entire map, there'll be a call out saying, "Oh no, this enemy hero showed up, and it's taking this waypoint. You need to get there." And so you'd be like Iron Man and be like, just fly over there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
That would be great. That would
awesome.
Be perfect. Yeah. I had seen, this is not really an original idea, but I had seen some artist on Reddit had taken the Overwatch characters and done like a round of Marvel skins with them. Ooh. That looked so cool. Like some of those characters just lend themselves perfectly to like a Marvel look. So I always thought that would be really cool. So that was, I don't know who the Redditor was, so I should probably find them and shout out.
You should.
Give footnotes there. Yeah. So I'll look it up, see if I can find it. But sorry, I won't know your name. But I thought it was a great idea because I'm just like, it's simple, it's easy, it's something that Blizzard could easily do if they just hooked up with Disney and got the rights, and like, Mike, for them, that like everyone would want those skins, like the people would be buying up those loot boxes like crazy.
Yep.
So it would just be really cool to see some of those characters with a Marvel skin kind of look. Mm-hmm. So cool. That's our DLC for the day. Tell us what you guys think. Tell us if we'll do a DLC post on our Reddit or something, and y'all can tell us what Marvel crossovers with games you would like to see, because there's so many more possibilities out there. That would be sweet. Yeah. So if there was a Thanos mode, an Infinity mode, in what game, what would that be?
Did you know Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 are on PS4? Do you remember those games? They're like Diablo with Marvel characters.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew.
They've ported them to PS4. I want them so bad. They're expensive, though.
Yeah, they're probably not very good.
I digress.
But
they are good. They're very good. I played them before.
Oh, okay. Well, then they're good. Whatever. Anyways, that was our DLC. So what are we talking about today? Termite, introduce our topic for us.
We are going to examine the hardcore versus casual mindsets in the gaming culture.
Sweet. So we're talking about hardcore versus casuals.
Yes.
What do those terms mean? Let's start there. What's hardcore and what's casual?
Well, there's filthy casual, which is that's the negative, like, kind of toxicity that has been a result of this movement through our gaming culture. All right, so hardcore implies you are a gaming enthusiast. That can be tied to various aspects of gaming. Sometimes there's the PC master race. They would declare themselves as hardcore versus everyone else. Sometimes it's the console fighting back, saying that we're the actual hardcore gamers because we buy dedicated gaming machines. But boiling it all down, it kind of is just a person, and this is my definition, this is Termite's definition. A hardcore gamer doesn't necessarily relate to skill. Mm-hmm. So some people might define it as you're better at games than a lot of people.
You're super elite.
Right. That's not my definition.
Right.
I would say that if you're somebody who's in the gaming industry, who's aware of studios and publishers and what the industry is doing and shaping, and you're aware of the general gaming scope. You walk into a GameStop and nothing surprises you. You're a hardcore gamer.
Right. I would say, I would be close to that definition. I would describe it sort of as a mindset. So hardcore gamers have a mindset of like, this is a test of my skill. This is a test of, I have to be the very best. Like no one ever was. And
to join them and
to catch them is my real test. Yeah, no, I mean there are people who just they consider gaming to be more of a lifestyle than a hobby, if that makes sense. So it's gaming is like they set aside time for it. They orient their schedule around it. They have a mindset of like, I want to spend as much time immersing myself into this activity and culture as possible. Mm-hmm. Versus people who are casual, the mindset for a casual player is like, this is just something I do for fun. This is just something I do to unwind. I want to have a good time. I don't want to get too invested in it. And I don't want to orient my life around it. So, but they're really just sort of mindsets.
It's really difficult to kind of define either way, because I was thinking about trophies or achievements. Like, hardcore gamers care about those things. Well, casual gamers might.
They might, yeah. And that's why really it's just a mindset. It's like, because the thing is, like, a casual gamer might see trophies as something fun. Now, will they have as many trophies? Will they take trophies as seriously? Will they let trophies impact other things in their life? Probably not. Yeah. But they still might, again, it's really just the mindset of, like, fun. I really like hobby versus lifestyle. Hobby versus kind of, it's kind of the dichotomy I like there.
It's kind of without question that cell phone games, if you only play cell phone games, you're probably a casual gamer.
Probably, but I'm sure there are people, some of those freemium games can get really addicting, and then those people might consider themselves hardcore, it's really just something you define for yourself.
Can anyone really be hardcore at Candy Crush?
Maybe they can. I don't know. They probably have tournaments for that stuff.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm not wrong. I think it's perfectly fine to be hardcore. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, some people, it's really kind of how you perceive yourself, but then it's also is how you perceive others. So if you're hardcore, you may be more likely to see someone and say, oh, you're casual, you're just casual or something like that. But, casual shouldn't be confused with, like you said, separating it from skill level. Like, a casual is not the same thing as a newbie. Like, a newbie is someone who's new to the game, or a noob, if you will, is even worse. A noob is someone who just sucks. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how long they play. But the idea is, like, it's not, you could have a casual gamer who's just incredibly skilled at whatever game they're playing, but it's just not that, they're not taking it seriously. Taking it seriously is in quotations. Like, they're there for fun. They want to have a good time. They want to unwind. They're not going to get their underwear in a wad if they lose, whereas hardcore people are more likely to kind of blow off a gasket. But, again, we're trying to be open-minded here. We're not sitting here and saying
and that was, gamers, I guess our caveat should have been, we don't think personally less of anyone who considers the casual gamer or hardcore. It doesn't matter. We're just trying to approach what gaming culture has already established. We're kind of entering in to that, and we want to make sure that we discuss it and talk about the differences thereof, what to be on the lookout for
each cut type.
And so that way you guys, it's kind of like personality types, so that you guys can know how other gamers might perceive you and how
you respond to your actions.
And how you might be perceived in the gaming world. I know I've been off-put when I've walked into like a tabletop RPG, which I love board games. I love tabletop stuff. I'm highly interested in it. I just don't make the time for it or spend the money on it. Like, Warhammer is fascinating. Dungeons and Dragons, fascinating. We just haven't had the time to make that happen. So when I walk into a store that sells like trading card games, because I play the Final Fantasy trading card game, and they're playing Warhammer, they instantly, we talked to this on a previous podcast before, they instantly give you that look of like, you don't belong here. And I'm like, guys, like, I like what you're doing. This is awesome. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to I guess they're just so used to that. Maybe they're defensive. Anyway, I digress. So we're talking about hardcore versus casual as personality types, quote unquote, about the gaming culture. So
sort of dedication levels, if you will.
Unfortunately, we don't have a rubric or a quiz you can take in the 10 questions to determine if you're casual or hardcore.
We'll try to sort of broad scope describe them, and then hopefully you can kind of determine for yourself what you are, or, you may not, categories may not describe you at all, and that's probably okay as well.
Yep.
We also want to talk about, like how should the groups understand one another so that they can better interact with one another in an online context.
And reduce toxicity.
Exactly, because as we talked about in our last podcast episode, the toxicity is a real problem, and this debate, if you will, hardcore versus casual, gets so toxic.
It does.
And the two
Hence
groups,
the filthy casual, as commented.
And the basement dwelling hardcore gamer, like the mom's basement dwelling hard, like the stereotypes exist, and it's like it gets so toxic where it's just like, if we could just kind of come to some form of understanding of one another, then we'll interact better and maybe reduce the toxicity. When really it's just like, the two ideologies are so foreign to one another because they just approach it so differently. But let's talk a little bit about kind of the context surrounding this discussion. When did these terms hardcore and casual enter the lexicon of gaming culture?
I would say that and this is again my own personal speculation. We tried to research this and really couldn't find a date or like when it happened. But I would guess, an educated guess, is that when consoles got online. So the original Xbox, Halo 2, time range 2002, 2003-ish, and then that was just propagated into the PS3 and the Xbox 360 era today. So I think it's when the masses got together to play online and communications over voice chat were established across the masses. Because PC had been doing it for years, but PC was always a niche or niche. And so they had their way to voice chat and communicate with each other and type to each other and stuff. And it could have existed in the PC gaming realm, but as a 31-year-old adult who didn't get a gaming computer until 2002, with the advent of the Xbox and broadband internet, both internet accesses kind of happened to me at the same time. So I didn't have that perspective switch.
Right.
But I think, and it is generally assumed that the masses got on board with the consoles because that was the cheaper barrier of entry, and like anyone can buy an Xbox as opposed to building a gaming PC. Right. So the masses got online. They've established their skill levels, and there was immediately like a dichotomy. This guy only plays 5 hours a week. You can't join my guild. This guy is he's got a 2-1 kill death ratio. So for every time he dies, he has 2 more kills than that. He's awesome. He's going to be in our clan. We're going to make the most elite clan, and we're going to strive to hit the leaderboards, and we're going to get the highest levels, and we're going to do the best. Like those were quickly becoming the hardcore gamers.
Right.
And then everybody else would get looked down on or kicked out from groups or like shunned or cussed out online or like made fun of, and it was hard. So those kind of like, that's the advent of hardcore versus casual.
Where did you first encounter the terms?
What I just described.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But actually, it kind of, the mentality goes all the way back to elementary school for me. Actually, I stand corrected in my own self here as you answer. Like my brain just went. Sorry. So in elementary school,
you just heard a termite thought process.
Yep.
Like
sorry guys.
On the airwaves.
Yeah, it happens. In elementary school, the kids that were hardcore had gaming magazines that they were bringing to school, or they would buy the games when they came out. That was kind of like how because you couldn't pre-order everything like you can today. So if you were the kid who scoured the Walmart and the Kmart and the Roses or the whatever stores Toys R Us's, because back then gaming wasn't as scheduled as it is today.
Yeah.
The release dates were never published. It was never a thing. It's just like new games came in, and if you were a hardcore gamer, you did the research, you saw it in gaming magazines, and you asked your parents to go get it for you on release day so you could be the kid in school that talked about it first and get the popularity among the gamers.
Yeah. I would say I first encountered it, unsurprisingly, with World of Warcraft. I used to read the forums, the WoW forums a lot.
Late.
I didn't really encounter it. I mean, maybe I did, but I didn't really consciously encounter it until then, like where I actually became familiar with the terms. But I would read the WoW forums, and just, because I would always be trying to find news, what was coming out, see if Blizzard said anything about such and such, or nerfs to such and such. And the first time I really encountered it was with the very first expansion. Every single expansion that came out with the game, people complained that Blizzard was catering to the casuals. And granted, they were, because the game has become significantly kind of easier over time, and they've removed a lot of the barriers, some good and some to the detriment effect. But I remember specifically it was when Blizzard announced that they were getting rid of 40-man raids. And they were saying that all raids now will be either 10-person or 25-person raids. The reason they did this was because getting 40 people together online at the same time to do a raid was really hard. And it was, like I said, a barrier to entry. It was a significant barrier to entry. And this was before they introduced things like the group finder and stuff like that, where it kind of automatically sorts you with people. Like, you had to literally just, like, organize people yourself. That's why guilds were a big thing and all that. So, like, Blizzard said, no, we're not going to have you guys do that anymore. But immediately there was an outcry from players being like, oh, but then all these casuals will be able to play, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And you're catering to the casuals and dumbing down the game. And then with every subsequent expansion, various things I remember that came next with the homogenization of gear in Wrath of the Lich King, it was no longer, all the stats became more simplified. And so players were like, you're making the game too easy. You're making it, people don't have to do research. And
then there was the
like
5-man heroics and like the 10-man.
And now there's like 4 different levels of difficulty. The raid finder, 4 different levels of difficulty with every raid. So it's so again, just as the game progressed, but that was where I first encountered it, was like when discussing.
To clarify, the would you call it, the raid finder and the dungeon finder, right?
Yeah.
Those two things, those are in-game tools that will pair you up with friends or not, strangers.
Right. It's like a matchmaking tool,
within the game.
Yep.
So before that, when you had to organize 40 people, there was no tools within the game to do that.
All there was the chat functions, basically. Yeah. And there were, you could group, like you could form these communities called guilds where you could.
That's in game though.
Exactly.
So to organize,
those are the only tools though they had.
Yeah,
that's what I
mean.
mean.
That's just a chat. If you're online, you see it. If you're not online, you don't. So the
you
way
had to
that
use websites, people would register,
Yep.
apply to guilds and stuff like that. It's crazy. And then you had to be online and on time, or you would suffer community-based penalties. You would, people would, if you were too late to raids, you would lose points that would go towards gear and stuff like that. Like,
have you ever told friends you couldn't hang out because you had a raid?
Oh, yep. I've done it before.
Yep. I've been on the opposite side of that. Hey, we're gonna go do this. Do you want to go? No, I got a raid.
No,
Sorry.
I got a raid. Yeah.
And we're like, really?
I've been on both sides, actually. I have been the one who has been snubbed because of raiding, and I've been the one who has snubbed because of raiding. So, it's. So again, depending on who you are as a listener, you may have a whole different take on that. You may be a hardcore person being like, they did dumb down the game, and that made the game suffer. The game's quality suffered because of that. You may be on the other side. You may be casual minded and think that's ridiculous. Why would people say no to hanging out with people in real life for a stupid game? So that's that gets me to the second kind of part of this question, which is, how do the two groups see each other? Like, how do hardcores tend to see casuals, and how do casuals tend to see hardcores?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a hierarchical. It's natural for us to make it a hierarchy.
Yeah,
it's natural for us to think of the hardcore gamers as elitists, and the casuals as kind of the common folk. And then with that comes the connotations thereof, that
stereotypes,
match our normal outside of gaming culture. Right. So the elitists are going to look down on the casuals. The casuals are going to look down on the heroes.
Because they suck.
Right.
And they don't take the game seriously, so just get out, quit, delete. I've heard the thing to say now is uninstall.
Yeah,
like you see it, like just uninstall. Like you shouldn't even be playing this game. And then the flip side is the casuals tend to see the hardcore gamers as they're just basement dwelling nerds. They have no lives, no girlfriends.
Right.
Like those are the constant never-ending, barbs of vitriol that are sent back and forth between the players. Is those kind of main stereotypes.
Any positive aspects of the dichotomy that exist as far as their perception of each other? How could a casual regard a hardcore gamer as a positive thing and vice versa?
Well, I think it comes down to sort of understanding the points of view. So I think that hardcore gamers could benefit from understanding the fact that casual gamers just want to have fun. They don't tend to, I think I mentioned this in the last episode, they don't want to be bad. They're not trying to be bad. They're not trying to troll you. They're not trying to ruin your experience. So, we've talked before about take on it, mentor them, help them get better.
Yeah.
Or at the very least just understand they're trying to have fun. They're not trying to ruin your experience. So don't ruin theirs. Just, if you can't handle it, find a group to play together that is equally hardcore minded. If you're entering any kind of public matchmaking kind of situation, then you should just be prepared to deal with casuals. On the flip side, casuals need to understand the mindset of hardcore gamers. They're trying to test their skill. They're trying to improve. They're trying to get better. So understand that if you then kind of troll them and then start saying, oh, you have no girlfriend, you have no life, whatever, then you're ruining their experience in the same way that they're, they could be ruining yours.
They didn't sign in to be insulted, just like the casuals don't sign in to be insulted either.
Exactly. So
yeah, I love seeing matchmaking rooms dedicated to quote casuals or noobs.
Yeah.
That's awesome because it's you can just go with like-minded people.
Yep.
And you know what to expect. And I personally fell into. I was a quote hardcore elitist, but not in the condemning way.
Right.
I would actually, I would be aware of casual gamers and just try to politely get away from them to get to more like-minded people.
Yeah.
In the past, but I love, like I said, seeing casual groups. Now, as an adult and have less time to play, I fit more into the casual category. But by my own definition that I gave earlier, I would be hardcore because of my gaming knowledge.
Sure, immersion.
Anyway, what I'm saying is I look up to the hardcore gamers as almost like, you guys are awesome. Rock on.
Yeah.
You're doing it. You're getting everything the developers kind of make the game
and there's plenty of things to There's plenty of things to appreciate about them. The hardcore people are going to be the ones who come up with the guides that you follow for your trophies.
Yeah.
The hardcore people are going to be the ones, running icy veins and giving you all the information to all the stats. They're the ones who are going to cutting edge, pushing the limits, trying to figure out how the game works and how the developers intended for you to play it.
Yeah.
So that way that, so they're the ones creating the resource. So I have a lot of respect for hardcore gamers for that reason, because they are the ones who are helping pass the knowledge down. At least the best of them are the ones that are helping pass the knowledge down for the people, who don't have the time, energy, or desire to really figure that out on their own. So
now, where I fall into, and it's a little bit of a confession from the Termite side, where I do fault is when I'm talking to people whether they're at work or friends at church, etc., that are talking about games, if I perceive them as casual because they don't follow it as much as I do, their influence on me is lessened. And that might not be wise.
Right, yeah.
Like, there's reasons why so-and-so plays 80 games and doesn't ever finish any of them. He jumps between games.
Right, and that was something we talked about in our personality episode. Like,
right.
It's totally just different personality. There's still something that can be learned, it can be gleaned.
Right,
from
so
them,
if that person says a game is good, my natural tendency is to be like, okay, sure. And then there's the guy who plays sports games all the time. And, I should not diminish that person's perception of gaming or whatever because of that, because he's not a sports gamer is not a casual gamer in his own right.
I mean, you don't have to take every single one of his recommendations, but it's like maybe he still likes playing games. He still unwinds that way, and
I think I've grown monumentally in that, but I am aware of it, and I know that that's where I would falter in the natural dichotomy of things.
Yeah, cool. All right, awesome. Let's move on. Let's kind of talk about the impacts of this debate, if you will, on the industry. And so the question is, what are the consequences, parentheses, perceived or otherwise, of developers, quote, catering to one side or the other? So what if developers cater to casuals, what effect does that have on games? Or versus if they're catering to hardcores, what effect does it have on games?
Right. And this kind of is a hook back into our pricing and industry wanting to make money capitalist idea. So if you're a developer and you want to make a game, you want to appeal to as many people as possible. You want to cast your net wide to get as many buyers as possible on board. So you're going
to need to make money.
Right, exactly. You got to pay for your crew to make the game. So you're going to cater to the casuals because there's way more casuals out there than there are hardcore players. So the consequences of that are you kind
make games easier.
Extricate the hardcore, if that's the word I'm looking for.
No, you're
separate
thinking of,
or shun.
Words.
Yeah, there's a word that
There's a word. Alienate.
That's it. That's the one. You alienate the hardcore players.
Penguin and Termite are educated, college-educated guys, and we have words. Penguin's trying to write a book with all of the words he has.
And I'm a software engineer. Hey. Yeah, so you end up alienating the hardcore players.
Right, and you do that by the games get easier. Like, we can you and I, in our lifetime, have seen games get easier. You remember Battletoads used to be a game that was marketed to people like us, and it's super hard.
Yeah.
Even the old Mario games are challenging. They're not easy.
Right.
Just games used to be harder.
Right. You couldn't have a save file. There's no checkpoints or auto-saving, memory cards, passwords. Just even the structure of the games.
Right.
You had to sit down and play a Nintendo game from beginning to end because you didn't have a way to save it.
Yeah, so games, though the quality of life has significantly improved, but there's also a lot of things that have made just games are easier. Not even saving and quality of life things aside, games, the challenge of games is just, they're easier. And again, that's okay. We're not sitting there saying back in my day, we're not being old curmudgeons.
Some people do.
Yeah, but some people do, exactly. Yeah. There's definitely a mentality of that. But I also understand that. So I think where we see kind of I don't want to say a pushback, but where we've seen kind of developers broaden the appeal is games like the Dark Souls franchise. They've sort of introduced a level of difficulty back to games that really, I think, appeals to kind of hardcore gamers. And I've seen, the games are super. If you go to the subreddit for gaming, those games are at least on the front page. Something about those games are on the front page every day. So I do think they still appeal to people. I've avoided them simply because I know they're really hard and I don't want to be frustrated. I don't want to, I want to avoid that level of anger that I will probably feel playing those games. So I just avoid them. Even fighting the Valkyries in God of War made me yell in my seat sometimes.
Yeah.
So, as this was weeks ago, not just, not back in my youth when I played God of War. I was no. The new God of War fighting the Valkyries made me angry sometimes. So
I haven't
playing Dark Souls would not be probably good for my heart.
Yeah.
Literally the physical, not just the sort of metaphysical heart, my
actual
attitudes and
heart.
emotions. So I literally mean my heart rate would go through the roof, trying to play those games. So, but again, they're super popular and they are appealing, but I do think they're kind of these people, the developers are saying we understand you want a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. I think that mentality of developers understanding that, like, yeah, we do need to make games for both, I think. Because I think
a lot of the indie game movement that's happening is catering to the challenge hardcore gamer a lot. So if you're looking for that challenge and you've played through all the Dark Souls, check out the indie stuff, because there's a lot of throwbacks to 8-bit, 16-bit era, hard, difficult games.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of games also, we've seen this for a while, like they'll have like really hard modes, and that's, God of War's got God mode or God of War mode. Give me God of War, is that what they say?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, because all of their things, all their difficulties are give me a balanced experience, give me a hot challenge, that's give me God of War. So it's like, yeah, they are definitely building these challenging modes into the game, and I do think that's good. I, as a player, will avoid them, but then again, I'm a filthy casual, so that's fine. Like,
are we though?
And that's what brings us to our next question.
Wait,
done.
Did you finish answering it? Like you said, what are the consequences? What are the benefits?
We also talked about the benefits, like making levels of difficulty in games. You just had such a good segue.
All right.
And
I wrecked it.
My next question, you did. You ruined it. Maybe I'll just cut the whole thing out and go, what are the shades of gray between this dichotomy? Like, where does the dichotomy of hardcore versus casual start to break down when you start to examine individuals and kind of the shades of gray between those two stark black and whites?
You hinted at the whole noob mentality, and it's a shade of gray, because if you're new to a specific title, you're not necessarily a casual gamer.
Right.
But if you're new to gaming in general across the board, and you might be a casual gamer, at least for a while as you progress.
Sure. Yeah.
And it depends on what you want to do or how you approach that. So I'd definitely say, like, the whole newbie thing in casual are kind of gray.
Right. I think there's also, like, again, there's people like you and I, we kind of defy these categories because you and I don't have the time to be hardcore gamers.
Right.
Like, I mean, we are at that stage in life where we are both, we're dedicated to our families, we're dedicated to our church, we're dedicated to our jobs. Like, our dedication for gaming is, even between the two of us, is vastly different. Yeah. But between us and other people, like you said, we're immersed in the gaming culture. We do research on the games to make sure that we have skills. We get, so if I'm playing World of Warcraft, I'm like looking up builds, find out
we host
what's
a gaming
good.
podcast.
Yeah,
the sensation of the internet is taking
it by storm. Yeah.
Right.
So we weren't really, calling us casuals is also questionable.
It's a gray area.
There's also people who, they might just want to play games for fun, but are also skilled. Like, there's the skilled casual, if you will, the person who's like really good at games, but because of circumstances in their life, just doesn't have the time or desire to play. They just want to, they want to have fun, but they're like really good and can throw a grenade at you in Halo and shoot it in the air. Like, that's.
I know someone who's amazing at Mario Kart, but doesn't play any games as far as I know.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's like one of the only 3 people in the world that can beat me in Mario Kart. Bring it.
So, yeah, I think that's definitely a sort of a shade of gray there. They're not quite hardcore. They're not quite casual. So, there's a level beyond hardcore gamers, which are professional gamers. These guys who are great, and that's their life, They
get sponsored, they have a job, their life is playing games.
$10 that they probably don't play games to unwind. Or if they do, they play completely different games than they're pros in.
Yeah.
If they're Overwatch pros, they're not playing Overwatch in their free time. They are playing Zelda.
They might not play games at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Their life is so consumed by one title. It's like they might not be considered hardcore by certain definitions because they don't know the breadth of the gaming industry.
Right, exactly.
They're just like really well versed
in one. Yeah. So I do think there's definitely shades of gray. I'm sure there are people out there who are hardcore gamers that just don't have the time to really like achieve the thing. You know what I mean? Like they love World of Warcraft. They're like reading articles about it and always keeping up to date with everything and checking the latest builds for their class. And yet they just don't have the time to be in a raiding guild and clear the, mythic difficulty bosses or whatever. Like, there's definitely people out there who have the sort of hardcore mentality, but just might not have the time or the energy or whatever to be hard, or the resources, what I mean? Like, some of these, you have to have the hardware for any of these things, you know what I mean? So someone might be playing a PS3, but like be hardcore about PS4 titles, but they just don't have the money to afford a PS4.
Right.
So there's shades of gray that like the reason we bring them up is because it's helpful when discussing this. It's helpful when sort of talking about trying to find the commonality between hardcores and casuals.
I wish we had more of a rubric to kind of more objectivity, but that's my type, my personality type. I know a guy at work who is like obsessed with RPGs. He plays every Japanese RPG, Western RPG. He loves them. But you talk to him about God of War. Like, I don't know. What?
I don't care.
Mario Kart? What? No. I have no Splatoon? What? That doesn't make it. Call of Duty? No.
Is he excited about Octopath Traveler?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I need to go have a chat with him. But he talks about all of like the Tales games and like Persona and Final Fantasies, and like he's all into those games. And then he plays a lot of indie games and phone games too. So it's like, is he a hardcore gamer?
Right. Yeah. You know? So it's like it just it defies kind of the the perception we have of what these things are. Cool. Let's just talk. One last question I had is, you know, often we've said it before, but between the two of us, there have been different points in our life where we would consider ourselves more or less hardcore. What real life events are there out there that might cause someone to sort of change hats? So the easy ones are probably what would make someone hardcore, who is hardcore, be casual. Which, you know, I can probably list like 8 of them. You know,
really?
Like a job, getting married,
yeah.
having kids.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, real life things.
I thought you meant like a gaming event.
Oh, no. I just mean like legit, like real life. Yeah. That's the question. What are real life events that would cause someone to, so those are things and circumstances.
Yeah, definitely marriage, kids, relationships.
You know, when you first get married, unless you are marrying someone who is also a hardcore gamer, and if you do, then awesome. Thumbs up. You guys game together and spend lots of time getting close and connecting to one another through games. That is cool. We happen to marry people who aren't. And so we had to learn how to sacrifice game time in order to invest time in our wives, which we talked about in our relationship episode.
We did.
So we talked more about that. So, but you know, any kind of relationship, you have a girl, you know, you get a girlfriend, like you better be spending time with her, especially if she's not. You know, especially like, hey, you might be dating a casual gamer. What? You might have to adjust your habits to be a little bit more casual. Yep. So those are, but kids too. You have kids, like, forget it. You're not gaming for probably at least the first year. At least not much.
There's a lot of time when they're newborns. You can game.
Oh, that's fair.
Because they sleep a lot, and then they just sleep on you, and then you can just relax.
That's fair.
I played like almost all of The Witcher 3 at the birth of my son in the first like 2 months.
Oh, there you go.
Because he was breastfeeding. Yeah. And so like,
nice.
Yep.
And then I think about jobs too. The other thing is you get you'll often find an age gap between hardcore and casuals because like a lot of hardcore gamers like are in like high school, college age. You know, there is a reason why the stereotype is they're in their mother's basement because oftentimes they are wisely taking some of the support of their family, but there's a point in everybody's life where you know you got to get a job and you got to move out and. Oftentimes the stresses of that stage, that step in life will cause someone to significantly cut back on their gaming. It's totally natural. It's totally a good thing, but it is still a life event that would cause someone to kind of change hats. But what are some events that you think might cause someone to go from being a casual into being a hardcore gamer?
Maybe the release of a specific game that really just like gets you and hooks you and like, what is this? I need more. And then you start going like a frog in boiling water. They don't know that it's boiling because it's gradually from cold to boiling, and before you know it, they're boiling. So maybe that, but a life event that would
I can think of a couple.
Opposite direction. Retirement.
Possibly, I can see. Well, we'll see that with our generation.
It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet. I think that's going to be a big thing. I can see 2 major things. I'll say the first one. The first one I'll start with. I'll say with like I think a major tragedy in someone's life might cause them to kind of turn to gaming and turn to a supportive online community that they can something they can feel good and in control of their lives about. I think those kinds of things might be conducive to being a hardcore gamer. But it's not. I don't want to also paint the picture that it's only it must be a tragic thing that happened to you. I think moving things like if you move to a different city, you have no friends, you have no if you already enjoy gaming and already have online friends that you interact with, that's a comfortable setting for you to kind of like, I'm going to invest a lot more into this in order just to have a community, have the social support, but also, feel like I'm in control and have skills, something I'm skilled at as well. You also, the other thing I can think of is like, you might find that you're really, really good at a game and want to get better at it. Yeah. So you start adopting a hardcore mentality, when you're doing that. Yeah. So, but you might be casual, like you said, you might be casual with other games. You might pick up Zelda, be like, this is fun and relaxing. But then when it's Overwatch time, it's time for business. It's time for serious. Yeah. So cool. All this is just to say that like whatever your mindset, we want you to be aware of the mindsets. We want you to be understanding of the other mindsets of others, and just sort of if you're a hardcore, more power to you. You get good. Get good.
It's GIT. It's get.
Yeah, get good.
And it's GUD.
Yeah, get good.
Get good. Yeah.
And just keep getting better, but just also be aware that like other people have different perspectives, and we really encourage you, if you want to seriously, push that competitive rank, then you need to do it with people who are, similarly minded. And don't rag on the people in matchmaking who are like just trying to have a good time. But people who are just trying to have a good time, also be aware that like, you know, don't troll the people who are like actually trying to succeed. Like just try to find that common ground.
I had a final thought.
Yes, final thought.
Final thought about the benefit of being a hardcore gamer, or what their benefit is to the gaming industry.
Yeah.
It's often that the developers will create a game for the casuals to make money, but it is the hardcore gamers that will shape the future of the industry because their voices are the ones that are heard.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are more picky, that care more, and are going to reach out and complain on the forums and tweet at the developers and make the next games better. And I say that with like Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War, all removing microtransactions. That's a huge example of that exact like hardcore versus casual. So thank your hardcore gamers for games that casual players will enjoy.
I agree. Cool. Awesome. Well, that's our discussion for the day. We had mentioned earlier in the podcast all the ways you can communicate with us, but if you need a reminder, we are at 80-Bit Podsmash on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and Reddit. So tell us, are you a hardcore gamer? Are you a casual gamer? Are you a former hardcore gamer that is now casual? What do you think of the two mindsets? Do you think that they are absolutely whack, and how dare they soil my games? Or do you think that there's common ground that can be found, and do you want to understand the other side more? So just engaging conversation with us. And until then,
and let's strive to be better people online.
Oh man, that's almost like a tagline.
Yes. Let's not be toxic. Let's not do that.
All right, bye y'all.